Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dream Team Tonic podcast, episode number 119. I'm Tony, your host, and with me, as usual, this week, James. Are you there, mate?
I'm here, mate.
Good evening. And Scott, are you there, mate?
Evening, mate. You all right?
Good evening, pal. And special guest and the greatest tag partner of all time, Andy Boyner.
Good evening,
Us, mate.
Good evening, gents. Thanks for having me on.
That's it. We've got a double up of Rovers fans now, so there's no slating us. There's no cheering on Burnley. Happy days. Happy days. Two of us. So, just a big welcome to a new patron, Lee Cox. Good to have you aboard. Thanks very much for your support, mate.
Welcome.
This is the last week to get involved in the Patreon before the Patreon Premier League, Patreon Championship kicks off. So if you want free entry into that, which includes prizes, gifts, all sorts of stuff, and it'll be a yearly thing with promotion, relegations, cup qualifications, and all sorts going on there, which will be quite exciting. If you want to get involved in that, get yourself over to patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic. Show your support for us and what we do, and that'll get you entry into that. Obviously, halfway through the week, lads. So it's not the end of the world, but we'll have a look at your teams. Andy, as the guest, we'd like to let you go first, mate. How's it gone?
Well, I don't think it's gone too badly. I've got 75 points on the week. My team, run through my team quickly. Sanchez has got me 9 points. Nice Chelsea clean sheet there. Saliba's got me 8 points as well. Matty Cash, 4 points. 1 point from Wan-Bissaka, which isn't great. I think I've heard Scott's just told me some news with regards to Wan-Bissaka, which has made it a trade. It was a transfer in. I was wanting to put in either him or Andy Robertson, and it looks like I've made the wrong choice. But that's fantasy football. Okay, so moving on from that. In midfield, I've got 5 in midfield now. I've got Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. He's not really pulling up trees, but I think he'll come good. Got 2 points. Mbuemo got 2 points. Not done much. Neither has Mitoma. He's got 3 points. Saka, who also played today, he's picked up 7 points. Sterling picked up 4 points in that 0-0 draw as well. And then you've got Haaland up front, got me 26 points. I captained him this week, and I put in Salah for the Chelsea striker Jackson. He's got me a nice 9 points this week. So, yeah, 75 points in total. I'm not disappointed with that. I think it's a fairly decent score to start off this week. And obviously there's a European fixtures to come as well. So, fingers crossed, I'll have a plus 100 for this week.
That's solid, that.
Yeah, really good start. Even with your sob story with Wan-Bissaka, you still had a very good week there. You smashed it there.
Yeah, when you said you were going to put the sad music on, I thought it was going to be a bad score, but that's a decent score, that. And the total.
Oh, the sad music's just for that one transfer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some people in the Discord, they get really upset with a misplaced pass. Never mind the play that you put in being injured or whatever it is.
Love it. Scott, how's your team gone, mate?
Right, I'm on 73 for the game week. I've got Sanchez in goal, 9 points for him. Finally coming good, just as I was planning to take him out. So it's given me a bit of a headache, that one. Estupiñán didn't play. Apparently, I think it's just rested because he had a big 2 games in the international break. So hopefully he plays midweek. Got Saliba, got me 8. Cash got me 4, who's a new transfer in. Again, Bruno Fernandes, 2 points. Been a bit disappointing, but I think I'm going to stick with him again still. Although I think from our questions, we've got a few people getting frustrated with him. Saka, 7 points. Mitoma, 3 points. Foden, who I brought in, just got the 3. Salah, 9 points. Haaland with the captaincy, 26. And Visser still lingering about, getting me 2 points every week. He's next to go. That's it, though. 399 total.
It's still a decent week. 73 so far.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's all right.
Decent. We'll have a jump over to my side. 68 for the week so far. Johnson, a bit of a gutner.
That was harsh.
Went from a clean sheet to getting pummeled in the space of a few minutes. Just a 1 point for him. Saliba, 8 points for the clean sheet. Stupinan did not play. Cash, who I brought in for Gusto, 4 points. Fernandez, I didn't have the balls to take him out this week. I know I said up last pod, didn't I? And Ben were dead against it. Like, no, don't touch him. He's set for the season, and the stats say he plays into all the point positions on this game now. He'll be a big point earner, but only if United get their act together.
Yeah.
So he's holding back a lot of money there. 2 points. So I'm not happy. I probably should have ditched him and just gone with what I thought. But yeah, I thought when we ditching Salah early on, I thought I go for ditching Fernandez as well. That one of them's going to completely burn me. But Saka, 7 points. Madison, who I held just because of the fixture, Sheffield United, could have been better, but 7 points. Obviously, only having a single. Foden, 3 points. Alvarez, who I brought in for Eze, 8 points. Hoping that second fixture he proves that that's a little bit fruitful. Haaland, was it 9 shots on target for Haaland?
Yeah, I think so.
9 shots on target and 1 goal. Some along those crazy lines. I read 9. 6 only on Dream Team.
Yeah, they've marked it down as 6 on Dream Team.
Yeah. So he filled his boots. And then Jackson, who I give a day of execution, thinking, if you don't do it at Bournemouth, you're not doing it. And he's obviously not doing it. He was picking up a yellow card, though. Yeah.
I think people have been more than patient with him, haven't they, really?
Yeah. His ownership did drop massively. And I did punt on that, kind of like, I knew a lot of people would get rid, but they lost their patience. And I thought, I'll be the idiot that just sticks with him for 1 more week. And so it proved a 2-pointer. So early plans for me next week is Madison's got singles all the way through, hasn't he? As much as I want to keep him because he's doing really well points-wise, I probably will move him on. And Jackson's days are numbered. But yeah, 68 for a week, 416 in total. Slight drop in rank, I think it's down to about 5k. So yeah, not too bad, but yeah, not great. James.
The troll karma still affecting me, Tony. 64 points this week. Johnson only got me 1. That was I thought Palace were going to hold on for that clean sheet, and then it all went Pete Tong in the last 10 minutes.
That penalty was harsh, wasn't it? Didn't you think?
Yeah.
It's not a penalty.
No, I didn't think so.
Not a penalty, but
Chilwell not starting today was annoying. 0 points from him. The Aaron Hickey got me 4. Walker got me 5 with a game to play still. Fernandez 2, Saka 7, Diaby 5, Foden 3. Foden's been disappointing again. When's he going to finally fucking crack it? I just don't get it. He's got all the talent in the world.
He's getting the games now as well.
Yeah. My transfers this week were Sterling and Jackson out for Salah and Nunes. So up top, I've got Nunes got me 2, Salah got me 9. I'm hoping Nunes starts against Lask and gets a hatful. I wanted Alvarez, but I was 0.1 away from being able to make that move, unfortunately. And I just thought, well, Liverpool's fixtures are decent. We've got Leicester next week, so I'm hoping we score an absolute hatful against them.
Oh, getting brave. He's getting brave while Ben's not here.
Yeah,
and playing some lovely stuff down at Leicester.
I haven't actually been following them. I think that they're near the top of the league, aren't they?
Well, second from Preston, I think, like top today, but yesterday.
Preston, top team in Lancashire. Woo.
Hey, you're wind up today, aren't you? Fucking hell! I've got enough. I've got some Preston fans sat in my house as well. I don't know about. But yeah, no, Núñez though. I like that pick. It's quite punty for you, honestly, for you, James, as well. It was quite punty.
What's going on? He's only 3.8 million.
Because I think he's got to start midweek. Got to. And not just that, but I think Salah, I'm hoping Salah gets rested midweek. Who's that young lad you've got? Doak. Is it? Scotch lad?
Doak.
Oh, Doak, yes. Yeah, Doak might play on the right in Salah's place in midweek. We don't know.
Or Elliot.
Or Elliot could play there. Yeah.
I think Salah. I'm hoping. The reason I didn't bring in Salah back in this week was because I'm thinking they're going to rest him. Now he's staying. I think he'll get rested. I'm hoping.
It's possible, yeah.
But yeah, he got a nice 9 pointer. It could have been better as well because that last assist was taken off him because of the deflection, weren't it?
Yeah, that was annoying. I looked and he was on 11 points, and then I thought nothing more of it, and then I went back and thought, oh, he's dropped to 9 points. What's going on? Yeah, that's.
Did they give it as an own goal then? They must have done. Which is quite. It's Orson Elliott to begin with, but obviously then that reverberates through to the assist. Diaby as well, unlucky, disallowed. Could have been better for him.
Yeah. Tight call that.
He looks brilliant.
He does.
I can't wait to get him in my team.
Yeah, I said last week as well that I was toying with Diaby, but I went for Alvarez in the end. Just thought City's got so much potential to score hats full of goals, so. Yeah, went for Alvarez over Diaby, but I do want Diaby in my team, definitely. So obviously we're only halfway through. Everything can change, but not shabby weeks for us anyway. I've seen some worse scores anyway. Right, on to the questions then, lads. We've got 3 questions here about the part of the bus boost. So we'll just cover that part of the bus. DT Patrick, how are you going to best approach playing your part of the bus without weakening your team elsewhere? Anthony Stringer's asked best defenders for part of the bus in game week 7 or hold for game week 11. Ben C, opinions on game week 9 part of the bus. Liverpool and Newcastle heavy, both got double game week home ties against favourable opposition. And that's the 3. I'm going to say 4 then. But Andy, what do you reckon about this part of the bus, mate? What are you looking at yourself?
I've looked at a few questions that you've obviously just went over there. With regards to Dream Team Patrick thinking that you have to weaken your team to play the park of the bus, it's not necessarily as bad as he might be thinking, because all you're doing is, I'm assuming that most people now have realised that it's probably best to go with midfielders and attackers with the way that the point scoring is going. And all you're going to be doing is you're just going to be bringing in 2 extra defenders. And as you get 2 transfers a week, the only thing that would give you a problem is if you took out 2 players to put in 2 defenders, and then you end up getting injuries in parts of your team. That would cause problems then trying to sort your team out afterwards. But it's fairly straightforward. The week where you're going to be parking the bus or getting your extra. You don't even have to do it over 2 weeks. You can do it on 1 week as long as your team's already set up. And it's just take out either 2 midfielders for 2 defenders or a midfielder and a striker. Or you could take out 2 strikers to put in an extra 2 defenders. You can play 5-4-1. So there's lots of options to get the 5 defenders to maximise your points. The most important thing with parking the bus, in my opinion, is you just have to hit it. Because if you don't hit it, then you could find yourself, well, you'd be in a lot of trouble because if you go heavily on one side, you could end up with just getting a very small score. So I think with regards to those 3 questions, you had the question for the park the bus on game week 7, and I would say Manchester United are good for that week. But you've also got West Ham that are good for that week. Man U have got Crystal Palace and at home, and then they've got Galatasaray at home. And then I think West Ham, they've got Sheffield United, and then they're playing Freiburg in the Cup. So if I were going to be parking the bus, I'd be looking at bringing those defensive assets in. Now, my team, as it stands at the moment, I've got none of those. I've got Wan-Bissaka, but he's a non-player, so I wouldn't choose to park the bus on that week because you need defenders to complement what you've got. And I've purposely gone for defenders from 3 different teams to enable me to maximise the park of the bus. Because Manchester United, they've got FC Copenhagen coming up. Arsenal have got some decent fixtures as well in the Champions League. Aston Villa who are in the Conference League, they're also good. Now, this first week of European action will give us a lot of information as to whether certain players will be playing 2 games a week. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, putting your finger on the button and activating that booster would probably be a mistake this week because you don't have all the information. Just take a look at different things that have happened. Like you've got Chilwell. I know he's not in Europe, but he didn't get played. Wan-Bissaka, he wasn't in the starting lineup, but I'm assuming that was an injury, and then he came on at the end of the game, and obviously he's not going to be playing again for a while, from what Scott's told me. But yeah, there's Estupiñán, he's been benched today, so this week will tell you a lot going forwards as to how to best set out your defensive lineup. And I think setting up those 3 initial defenders is going to be very important. And it's sort of like you want to pivot one way or the other. And I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket because you need to be extremely lucky. Just look, City's let a goal in. All the big hitters have been letting goals in. So all it takes is one goal, and it minimises the effect that part the bus has. So I think you need to spread it between 2 teams, like two defenders from one, 2 defenders from another, and another double game week playing player from another European side. I think that's the best way to probably do it. I've looked at some of in my mini league. There's been some people that have, they've played the part the bus chip already, and they've done it in a single game week. But surprisingly enough, like the players have been from 5 different teams, and you'd be surprised at how the defenders score, even if they lose. Take Luton Town, for example. This last game they lost, I think was it 3-1 that they lost? Or 3-0. Anyway, all the defenders, they've got like 4 points, 3 points, 5 points. Yeah. None of them have got minus points for letting in loads of goals. So, like I say, putting all your eggs in one basket might not be the best idea. I just think that you should spread it. The other question was game week 9 and game week 11. I don't think one game week is preferable over any. I know, like game week 7 and game week 11, people have been saying, oh, this is the best week. But if you look at game week 9 even, you've got Man City, they're playing Brighton and Young Boys. Liverpool are playing Everton and Toulouse. Man U are playing Sheffield United and FC Copenhagen. Newcastle are playing Crystal Palace and Borussia Dortmund. That's quite tricky in Europe, but like I say, they're playing Crystal Palace at home. Then game week 11, you've got City, Man U, Liverpool and Aston Villa. They've all got favourable fixtures in Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton, Nottingham Forest, and then they've got like an easy European fixture. But like I say, this goes on throughout the group stages. So whenever you choose to use your booster of Park the Bus, there's lots of different opportunities. You don't have to just gravitate towards 1 week. Just make sure that your initial 3 defenders for the week that you choose are set up for the extra players that you want to bring in. I don't want to go on with regards to realise that I've been talking for quite a while, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Just play them when you want, but just make sure that all your players are nailed if possible. And the points should come rolling in with a couple of lucky clean sheets as well on top to boot.
Yeah, completely agree. I get what you're saying. You need to, after this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think obviously for the Champions League, you pretty much, you could probably nail the teams down. It's that Europa League and what teams are going to do, especially Liverpool. Got a nice draw. We don't really know what players they're going to play. But they're going to rest a few. So obviously this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday gives us loads of information, and then going into game week 7, 9, 11, even 13. In 13, I think United got Everton and is it Galatasaray, Arsenal, Brentford, and Lens, Brighton, Notts Forest, and Athens. Like there's some really good doubles for teams, but it's just whether they're playing their full teams.
Yeah, Brighton don't seem trustworthy now for rotation either, do they?
Oh God! Do you know? Every time I look at the Brighton's team sheet, there's a name on it I've never ever heard in my life. I'm thinking I'm well in on the football knowledge, but who's this lad? Who's he pulled out this week? And he just seems to throw some. And he got an assist, I think, the lad that they started this week.
Adingra, wasn't it?
Yeah, Adingra. Where's Adingra come from?
You'll have to call him Deserby Rule Pet.
Yeah, honestly,
Deserby Rule Pet.
It's unbelievable. There's all these young lads he just keeps plucking from nowhere. But I like what Deserby's doing down there. It's brilliant. But going back onto the boost, there's so many. I can't. I'd say obviously we're gonna see this week out, and then I think after this European round, we're gonna know a hell of a lot more. And I think if the Europa League teams heavily rotate, I think then you've got to start looking and structuring towards a game week where the Champions League teams have the easier double and are concentrating mainly on them, because you don't want to risk playing your chip, your part of the bus, and some of your players not playing that double. What do you reckon, Scott?
Have either of you got a week in mind or not, or just targeted at all?
I don't actually have a week in mind, but one thing this voice in my head keeps telling me, you need to get these boosters used as soon as possible, because there's a lot of good games coming up.
I like 7. I like 7 for Newcastle. I like 7 for Newcastle, and I let it continue so you could keep the players in. So if I put Trippier in game week 7, I'm pretty happy to keep him after that.
Yeah,
so
I gave a team for 7 for it's Anthony's question, wasn't it? I'd put down Trippier, Saliba, Trent Alexander-Arnold if he's back, which it's not looking good yet. Matty Cash, and I'd put down Wan-Bissaka, but he's out. So like you can plan as much as you like, but straight away two of them are kind of out of the equation.
Yeah, I'd probably go double on Newcastle. If I were going to play at 7, I'd probably go double Newcastle, and then Arsenal because I've already got Saliba, it'd just be adding one to that.
Yeah, it depends
If
what you got
Zinchenko
already.
stays fit, possibly Zinchenko or Ben White. And then another, and I'd probably just throw a City lad in there. Wolves and Red Bull.
Yeah.
So that's if I were to play at 7. I want to see what happens this game week.
I think
It's
that's the
big.
most sensible.
Yeah, it is big for me. Like to answer it and say definitely this is how I'm playing my chip. I can't say that. I'll say it in the Discord when I decide. But we'll have to see what it says this week. I'll probably announce it on the pod next week.
Well, I've gone the sort of the other way. I'm pretty sure I'm set on what I'm going to start working towards playing mine now, and I'm liking the look of 9, game week 9.
Yeah.
Already there's something gone wrong with it because, like I said, Wan-Bissaka was in my plans, but you're going to have to be a little bit flexible how you do it. But to get to from now to game week 9, I'd have to plan out my transfers for 3 whole game weeks.
But then that nails Dalot.
True, or Region on the other side.
Regulon
Maybe
could get a regular place as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd actually planned out my next 3 game weeks of moves, but you've got to sort of be able to give yourself a bit of budget wiggle room, haven't you? Because that could completely mess it up. And then also, I mean, if an injury or something happens, that can happen as well. But I was looking at going game week 9 and then having a defence of Trippier for that Palace at home, Dortmund at home, Trent for Everton at home, Toulouse at home, Walker for Brighton at home, Young Boys away, and then I'd put Wan-Bissaka for Sheffield United, Copenhagen, but that might have to be a different United, and then Cash for West Ham at home, AZ Alkmaar at home, and I could get to that if I make the moves that I want across these 3 weeks. The downside, going back to Patrick's question of what was his question? Where do you lose? Where do you lose out in your team? My downside was, and it's going to be a question from someone else later, but I'd actually looked at putting Kaminsky in the Luton keeper.
Hey, ex-Rovers lad, good keeper.
The way I'd looked at it at the minute was, although you're not going to score points from him. You can't expect anything really from him, but it allowed me to get those big hitters in defence, but also let me keep my sort of good players on pitch, so I could still have Haaland, Salah, Foden, Diaby, Bruno. I might have to drop Saka or Bruno, one of them 2 out for 1 week, but then you just get them back the next week.
Yeah, that is the thing with having the two transfers a week. We're playing a completely different game.
But yeah, I'd sort of planned it out.
You get them back the week after, providing they don't go up in value when you take them out. Because if they go up in value when you take them out, you won't be able to get them back in if you've used all your budget.
Yeah, I've planned it with 0.3 wiggle room, but obviously that could be anything by the time we get there, couldn't it? So it's a bit of a dangerous game. But then that Kaminsky and say Wan-Bissaka, for example, Wan-Bissaka's now out. I could save $1 million by going to Region, so I could actually have a keeper that's 1 million more than that, and maybe keep with Sanchez. So yeah, I've got a rough idea in my mind, but then we've said there's so many good ones. If we get to game week 9, I've got a couple of injuries and it doesn't look like it's going to work out, you put it back to 11 or something, don't you? So yeah, that's if it all goes to plan. But there's an international break right before game week 9 as well, which is another spanner in the works. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I've got an idea in mind for my one.
What about you, Jambo?
I won't linger too long on this because I think you guys covered it quite well. Is it worth some points that I've written down that perhaps weren't thought about in too much detail? Where if you're taking out attackers, it might be worth looking at what you're taking out and thinking about it, have they got plum fixtures? So it's another aspect to consider. Which, I mean, it gets complicated if you start looking into it in a minute detail. You're taking out, a Rashford and a Salah or something to load up at the back. I mean, if have a look at their fixtures just to make
Yeah.
sure you're not taking them out against two weak sides, because you could end up with less points. I personally think game week 7 isn't a great time to play it. I looked at the fixtures, that nothing stood out to me as being a great fixture pairing. I definitely think there's more options in 9 and 11. Ben Coles suggested he wanted opinions on game week 9 part of the bus for Liverpool and Newcastle. Liverpool got Everton to lose. Newcastle have got Crystal Palace and Dortmund. I don't think that's a bad shout. Liverpool's defence isn't great. I mean, we're talking a lot about Man United defenders here, but they look shocking. But they have got a lot of injuries at the moment. So I think considering Man United defenders will definitely depend on them getting their injured players back. I mean, Everton. I looked at Toulouse. They're in the 3/4 of the way down the league. I can't see them being strong. But the trouble is, we need to look at that how we're going to rotate in Europe.
Yeah.
Everton can't score a goal for Toffee.
Hey.
He went there. He did it.
I do like the idea of getting Newcastle players in, because I don't think their squad at the back they don't seem to have a huge amount of depth there. So you can pretty much predict what their back four is going to be.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount of wiggle room there, is there? And they're in the Champions League, so they're less likely to rotate. So I do like factoring in some Newcastle players.
Don't forget that same week, James, you've also got Man City and Manchester United that have got easy fixtures that week as well anyway. So loading up on Liverpool and Newcastle, is it really that important for game week 9 when there's other options that might be available to you?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it as an idea, but yeah, there's a lot of options there, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Just touch here on what Farquhar Man said in the comments. The second part of what he's saying, but the gist of it is, obviously we're concentrating on clean sheets and we're doing the part of the bus for obviously trying to get these bigger sides, the better fixtures, to get the clean sheets and that. But there's plenty of moments where there's teams that are getting peppered and battered 2 or 3. But because of the tackles and other things that are going in their favour, because obviously they're under pressure, like Aaron Hickey coming away with 6 points after conceding 2. So is that worth thinking that Newcastle have a very tough group? Is it worth just having Trippier? Because he'll be making more challenges, more blocks, more of this. He might get more bonus points, and he's still got the potential to have the attacking returns, even if he loses his clean sheet.
Yeah, potentially. I think so.
Yeah.
Even with City, I think that game week 9 we were talking about, I think City do play Brighton in the first game. But I mean, if you might say you was looking at like a Walker, and you might think, oh, he's not going to keep a clean sheet against Brighton, perhaps. But if it's Walker versus Matoma, they might have 4 or 5 duels, 4 or 5 duels, 4 or 5 tackles, and then potential for clean sheet and stuff as well. It could end up adding up. Yes.
I think obviously with the tackles and the blocks and the other things, they all go towards your bonus points, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think that's where in these points are lying for these teams that are under the cosh a little bit. So
I think the tackles, they get you the individual points as well, don't they?
As well. And then they also add towards your bonus, don't they?
Yeah.
So you're getting, it's like 2 for 1 kind of thing. It's definitely, I think it was the first pod, the second pod, I said about City defenders. It'd be interesting to see where they lie, especially points per million, but even points overall, where they lie at the end of this season, because they don't usually have too much to do other than keep a clean sheet. So when it comes to like the bonus points, they usually get high up on the passing percentages, but blocks, tackles, and other stuff, they don't really usually have to do them.
I guess it just depends. If they end up going all the way again in all the competitions, they're going to just play so many games, aren't they? That eventually it will add up. But then they rotate more as well, though. So it's trying to balance it all, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
but
it is. It's interesting. Good season. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying all these new rules.
It's good,
I think it's done a world of good for the game.
Gets us thinking.
Definitely. I think we've covered all the part of the bus there. I think before I lay my cards out, though, I really do want to see what happens this week.
Yeah, this week's going to be big.
In the European Games, sorry. Ryan Driver's been on. The pricing this year is ridiculous, so hard to predict. Because we get so many transfers and you can hop on, hop off, is budget less of a concern this year and just pick players with fixtures and form? Scott, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because we were all very much just saying, "Oh, it's all about building budget. We've got to build budget." We're also used to doing it in the last few games, but these price changes have been an absolute disaster, haven't they? So far, really hard to tell what's going to happen. So, I think for now, for me, I'm just going to try and target points, and then if it's convenient to get the price rises, or it's not going to go too much out of my way, I'll do it. But at the moment, I can't predict them well enough to make moves specifically for price changes because there've been some ones that I don't know how they happen, to be honest with you. So I think if you try to follow the points, and then if there's one that's blaringly obvious, do it. But I definitely wouldn't be making moves specifically to get price rises because I think you'll end up getting stung at the moment.
Yeah,
for me,
James.
I agree with 100% with Scott's approach there. I've looked at my transfers with one eye on price rises, but it's difficult, and I think it can end up swaying your decision rather than bringing in the best player for 2 or 3 weeks. You can go for that price rise and it might not even happen and shaft yourself. So I think going for points probably makes sense. And of course, if you get the right players in, they're going to go up anyway. So I'm not putting too much store in price rises myself.
Yeah. Andy?
I've looked at some. Every week, I look at the prices of a lot of different players. That have either scored points or haven't scored points. And one of the most surprising things this week is Erling Haaland got 23 points last week in one game, and he went up 1 point.
Yeah,
went up 1 point, and then you get somebody that's like less than half his value. And I'm sure somebody, I can't remember who it was exactly, but I'm sure somebody has scored about 2 points and they've gone up in value. So effectively, they've not actually scored any points.
Yeah.
But they still got 0.1. Yeah. I think Raheem Sterling, he only get 2 points or 4 points or something last week. Didn't set the world on light his held value. And then you've got, was it Bruno Fernandes or something like that, that's held value through not scoring, and it's anybody's guess. But one thing that I would say is when you go into somewhere about 3.5 million and lower in value, if they do score a fair amount of points, they've got more of a chance of going up by 0.2. And if they don't score, they've got less chance of going down by 0.2, whereas the higher value players quite probably will go down. But the way that the price changes happen this year, the route that I'm probably going to be going down is trying not to just pick who I think are going to be my premiums. I don't want to have too many, but I've got 4 as it happens at the moment. I've got Saka, Salah, Haaland and Fernandes. And I'm probably going to stick with those because those are the ones from the beginning who I thought would obviously get a lot of these bonus points. And they are doing all right. Look at Salah, he's up there, even though his value keeps going down. But then Fernandes, he's not getting the bonus points, but Man U's next, after they play Borussia Dortmund, I think there's about 10 games after that.
Yeah, they all look good.
One hard game, and the rest of them are games that they should win easily. And Bruno Fernandes is the type of player that when a Manchester United do play well and win games, he's in and amongst everything. He wants to take all the free kicks. He's getting tackles in, and he'll get a yellow card every now and again. But he's one of your most aggressive players that obviously wants to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I do believe that his points will start to flow. So yeah, I'd pick those are the ones that I want to keep, and then what I want to play around with is the cheaper options. Whereas if I've got a cheaper option, which I think might be going down by 0.1 million if they didn't have a really good week, and there's another one that's fixtures are looking good going forwards that's in Europe, and their price looks like it's going to be going up, you've got more of a chance of getting a better result from your transfer for extra budget wise by doing that. So that's the route that I will be taking if I can. But if I can, it's just the players that are in your team now, whoever they are players that you think are going to not just score well next week, they're going to score well going forward. So is it really worth messing around with things all the time? Because you could end up just, like you say, just doing the okey-dokey and putting players in that are going up in value, but they've already scored the points. So, I think it's just picking a team that you're happy with going forward, really, and trying to stick with it.
I think with budget, we always went into like the certain premiums, and we needed to have these maybe 2-3 players that were of little value but did all right. I think this season, with the way it's all working out, the price rises and falls aren't as important. And the reason they're not as important is because the pool of players which you can choose from has grown by 400%. It's crazy the amount of players you can now choose from that are scoring points. And that in itself allows you to be able to be so much more flexible with what you're doing in the game. Like, no longer you have to chase these price rises, then later in the season you can afford 5 City players. You're no longer having to do that because then City players are actually dropping in price because they're meant to be pummeling teams 6-0 and they're not. So they're all dropping in value, and all these 2-3 million players are actually doing all right on the scoring matrix, playing for teams and playing in positions that weren't fashionable last year, but now actually they score very good points.
No one's really getting away from you, are they? Like, we're complaining that our players are dropping, but everyone's dropping. I feel like before we used to want to have Kane, Salah, Haaland because we were scared that they were going to rise and we wouldn't be able to afford them. But it seems like everyone's really going down. Like Maddison, for example, he's someone who you'd think of as he's smashed it, hasn't he, since the start?
He has.
You'd think, oh, his price will get away from you if you don't jump on him soon. He started at 4 and he's 4.3. He's not got far away. There's not many, I don't think, that have really pushed on.
Yeah, and in the old scoring system or the old price rise system, if he'd had 3 good weeks, he'd had a 12-pointer, a 15-pointer, an 18-pointer. He's now 5 million, or he's 4.9. Now that's dangerous because he has ran away from you in a sense. But in this game, they're not. They're moving up and down very slightly. So I think hop on, hop off, and budget isn't a concern for me at this minute. At this minute, it's not, because I feel like of all the moves I've made, I've never been priced out of one. I know you said earlier, James, that you're priced out by 0.1 from Alvarez.
Yeah.
Do you think, so rewind a week, do you think you could have affected that? Or if you could have planned better, do you reckon? Or do you think that was just unfortunate? Because the prices that are going up and the prices that are going down, as Andy said, are very, like, a bit harsh, some of them. So it's not really something you could probably plan for.
Given the unpredictability of it, it's difficult to chase that. I'm not going to put too much store in that. I'm not. It was a bit annoying, but that's the first time that's happened to me. So yeah, I don't know.
But then when Nunes gets his hat trick in midweek, we'll be all right, won't we?
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit unpredictable at the moment. Right. Obviously, a bit of upset towards United. Bruno Rashford. Wade's been in. What do we do with Bruno Fernandes? Not much to write home about, and I need a cash cow. And Kian said, hate to do it, but Bruno and Rashford need to go. I'll probably get Saka, but not sure who else to bring in. I did say it last week about Bruno, but when we rewind, to the initial pods before the season starts, Bruno is pointing towards scoring a shitload of points this season, and that scares me a little bit. But last week I was losing a little bit of patience. This week I'm losing even more patience. United are in turmoil in my eyes. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have Rashford as well as Bruno.
Yeah.
But if you had to have one of them, I'd have had Rashford because he seems to be scoring a little bit better. But what do you reckon, Scott?
I would say stay patient with him. I know we've all got Saka. I just looked at our teams. We've all got Saka and Bruno, all four of us. I'm pretty sure Ben has as well. If you haven't got Saka, I'd consider getting him in maybe instead or alongside because he's doing really well. But before you do look at selling Bruno, I looked at the fixtures as well, and I know you just touched on it, Andy, but I think once they get this Bayern game out of the way, they face, from game week 6 to game week 10, they've got 8 games and only 2 of them are away. I've had a look. They've got a run of games that are all at home. 2 of them are away from home, and it was Burnley and Sheffield United.
Ooh.
All the rest are at home, and they are all pretty good fixtures as well for Man United. They've got Burnley away from home. They've got back-to-back Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. They've got Galatasaray at Old Trafford, and then they've got Brentford at home as well. Sheffield United away from home, Copenhagen at home, and then it gets hard. Then they've got the City game. But that's a lot of home games, isn't it? I know.
Well, then after that one-Man City game, they've got Fulham away from home, Copenhagen again away from home. Then they've got Luton at home.
Everton.
Then they've got Everton away from home, Galatasaray again. So apart from that Man City game,
yeah, I think
look at how many winnable fixtures they've got.
Yeah, I think you've got to look long term with him. I think unless you're taking him out to do your part of the bus or something like that just for a week, I think I'd stick with him. To be fair, we've had enough seasons of Bruno to see that he does well pretty much every year now, doesn't he? So I think I'll be sticking with him. He's still on penalties. They're going to get some penalties in there at home at Old Trafford.
I mean, I think the Matrix suits him even more now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even
I didn't know how many
previous
tackles he
seasons.
puts in.
Yeah.
I didn't realize till this game how many times he picks up like tackle points. I didn't see it before. Yeah. I'd stick with personally.
James,
it's a tricky one because United are not in form. They've got lots of injuries. Bruno's been playing a bit deeper than normal. I'm not convinced he's worth keeping in the short term, but I do think he'll be a good long-term pick. I'm not adverse to getting rid of him for a few weeks until United sort their problems out and get a few players back. That said, like you've already covered, their fixtures are looking pretty decent. Do you really want to get rid of him before Burnley Crystal Palace next week?
Yeah, it's a difficult time, and
it's not the best time to get rid of. Maybe give them another week, or see how the injury situation pans out. Although that's not looking like it's going to improve greatly anytime soon. In fact, it's actually got worse with Wan-Bissaka being out for a couple of months, like you said. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. There's arguments for and against getting rid of him, definitely.
Those yellow cards wind me up though. He's had three yellow cards already.
Yeah. But then usually they take away his 7 rating, and because he wouldn't have had much else, would he? This season, he's not done much. What do you reckon, Andy? Did you ditch him, mate?
Well, no, I've got no plans to ditch Bruno Fernandes. I've not had Rashford as yet, so I'm not too fussed about that. But I'd probably go different to you, Tony. I'd probably keep Bruno, and if I wanted to ditch one of them, it would be Rashford. If you've got 3 strikers, I'd seriously take a look at going to 5 midfielders instead, and take Rashford out. Definitely, because there's a lot more value. One thing is, people are obviously thinking now, those that have got Eze, those that have got Maddison, players like that, should I really be taking them out because we can get players with 2 fixtures? Well, Bruno Fernandes hasn't even scored half the points that, and that's with just like single game weeks. Maddison and Eze have. And if you have a look at the midfielders, there's quite a lot of midfielders that are scoring high on the matrix. And the ones that are scoring high on the matrix are players like Eze, Buemo, Neto, Gross. And those players, they're from non-European teams, and they've all scored like 38 points or above, and they're the top performing midfielders. So there's one player that's high up, and that's Gross, and he's got like 9 bonus points and 10 singular points, like from tackles or shots on target or whatever, and 20 points just from those as extra points in just having 5 games so far this season. That's like 4 points a game on those bonus points or singular points. So there's a lot of, if you wanted to change to a European playing player, you've got Gross. But other than that, the midfielders that seem to be scoring a lot are the ones that don't have, that are kind of cheapish, and non-European teams. So, yeah, if you did want to take them out, I wouldn't look any further with regards to strikers. Salah, Haaland, and Alvarez at a push until Kevin De Bruyne comes back. Then his minutes might not be as much, but I do believe that he'll be playing more or less every game while De Bruyne's injured. But I'd seriously only go 2 strikers anyway, and it'd be, for me, it's Salah and Haaland up front, and then you'd have 5 midfielders and just pack it with players. I'm seriously thinking about putting in Gross because he picks up a lot of your bonus points to complement his other points through goals or assists or what have you. But yeah, I wouldn't be too. Won't take Bruno out. Rashford's okay, but if you do want to take him out, just go for like the double game week players that are scoring a lot of the bonus points and stuff. Because even if the team doesn't play well, they'll probably still pick up those bonus points.
Yeah, good shout. Agree with that. Right. Scott, do you want to ask the next one? The Nathan Wisby question. And I'm going to go for a P.
Yeah. So I think Nathan looks like he wants to take Son out of his team. And he's saying Son out for Alvarez/Wilson or Trippier for game week 6. So Son out. Obviously, just scored the hat-trick. I think everyone wanted him in after that. And didn't do it, did he? Didn't do the business this weekend. So who would you take out Son for, James? If your choices were Alvarez, Wilson, or Trippier, or someone else?
Well, I wouldn't go Wilson personally because of Newcastle's tough fixtures, and of course there's rotation with Isaac, so I'd rule him out. I think I'd probably go Alvarez. I mean, the trouble is Chipre is still 5.2 million. That is a lot. He scored 23 points. Alvarez is on 38, playing most games, which is unusual for City. I'm sure he will get some rotation. I think I'd go Alvarez, to be honest. I mean, there's not many clean sheets about this year, although Newcastle's fixtures have been tough and are getting easier in the Premier League at least. But they've still got tough fixtures in Europe. So I'd go Alvarez.
What about you, Andy?
Exactly the same as James. Just from the choices he's given there, definitely Alvarez, and for exactly the same reasons as well. Wilson's going to get rotated with Isaac, and Trippier has got difficult games in Europe. All of those European fixtures are going to be difficult, but like I say, Alvarez seems to be playing every game while De Bruyne's injured.
Yeah, I think he's looked brilliant, to be honest, Alvarez. He's one of these people that I've sort of said to myself, I've got my eye on him every week, but I've just not quite found a way to get him in my team yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Alvarez, isn't it? Like every City game, there's going to be a ton of goals. With Trippier, I know you can get points elsewhere, but you kind of are banking on a clean sheet to go with it. Whereas with City, I mean, West Ham put up a game against them, but they still scored 3. They scored 5 against Fulham, 2 against Sheffield United, 3 against Burnley. You just know there's going to be goals, don't you? So I think Alvarez seems a good bet. I think Pep come out as well and said something like he's undroppable at the minute, didn't he? After that last game. So I think
that means he's going to drop him the next game.
Yeah, yeah. On the wind up, especially now. There's like European football as well, though. Even if he does get one start and one off the bench, if Alvarez was coming on in the 70th, I think you'd still fancy his chances, wouldn't you? Getting a goal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I'd go Alvarez unless you're looking to play part the bus. Because I'm saying Alvarez, but Trippier's on my list to get in. So yeah, unless you're looking to part the bus, maybe I'd say Alvarez. Just in time, Tony. What do you reckon you would do for this one?
Son out, Alvarez, Wilson, or Trippier.
Yeah.
Between Alvarez and Trippier, because I don't think Wilson nails the minutes that much. But for game week 6,
yeah, I didn't even look at the fixtures, but every fixture's a good fixture for City, isn't it, really?
I mean, Sheffield United, Man City, nice first fixture for Trippier there, isn't they?
I suppose it's Carabao Cup. It's Carabao Cup week, isn't it? So you'd have to consider that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Trippier plays against City, so that's not great, is it?
There's a lot of difficult games in that Carabao Cup for the Premier League teams.
There is. It's not the easiest week, is it? I'd probably go Alvarez. Probably go Alvarez over Trippier for that. Although Trippier is someone that I've got my eye on Trippier now. From game week 7, he's definitely someone. I know our put him about to begin with, but yeah, I have already had him in my team. I took him out, but game week 7, I think he could be returning and being pretty much a long stay in my team. Trippier, so yeah, but out of the two, I'll probably go Alvarez for game week 6 at a push.
But really, Nathan should be trusting his gut, really, because I think he's smashing it, isn't he, at the minute?
He's private messaged me a few times, and I tell you what, he's got some great punts down, and he's done a few worldies. He had the Son hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
the Son hat trick and the Haaland hat trick, obviously, but he'd captain Bowen. who scored, to be fair. So I think it all evened itself out a little bit. But yeah, he's done all right, Nathan. Keep going, mate. Keep going with your gut. TCB. how the feck do you gel Chelsea so all the players perform in every match? Obviously, they bought so many players, haven't they, Chelsea? I think Pochettino's getting a little bit of a tune out of them. They're just struggling to score goals. Watched them again today, and they just think Jackson. He needs to start scoring. He needs a goal, a proper goal, not in off the arse or. Do you know what I mean? He hit the post today with a scuff shot. He does a lot of things right, Jackson. He just doesn't seem to be scoring at the minute. But it's good. I think it's going to come. I think he'll score plenty of Premier League goals, Jackson. It's just my patience is probably worn with him. We've got so many good players there. Mudrik's starting to look dangerous.
Yeah.
Sterling starting to pick up a little bit. Looking quite dangerous as well. Fernandez further forward. I like the look of Gallagher.
Captain.
He could be a wild pick, him. He's going under the radar, is Gallagher. He's getting quite a lot of points.
He is a good player. We've always known he's a good player. Obviously, now fitting into the scoring matrix and dream team, he seems to be a good option. What do you reckon, Scott?
For Chelsea to get Chelsea sorted out, I think just stick to the tried and tested, sack the manager, and spend another couple 100 million in January. Just keep repeating it; it'll work. You'll get there in the end.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it?
No point changing now.
They've got to trust somebody to implement their style, their players, trust the manager. Trust the manager to build the club. You've got to
get Tuchel back.
It's and then when it starts going wrong, you get rid of him, don't you? Like Jurgen Klopp, he needs to go.
No, honestly, I've got no clue. I watched the game earlier. I just didn't know what was going on with them, to be honest. They seem, at least they've sorted out the defence a little bit. They're not like conceding a ton of goals, but they just can't score, can they, at the moment?
No, they're struggling to score.
Yeah, for a team that spent so much money as well, I was looking at that bench, and it didn't really look like they had that much even on the bench, which was surprising. I think they've got a lot of injury problems. But yeah, no, just have to sack the manager. I think that's all I can think of.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Andy?
Well, I think there's some kind of ghost of Drogba or something like that that's looming over all the strikers that go to Chelsea. Same team you had. What's his name? Fernando Torres. And then after that, every single striker, I can't even think of one that's scored regularly. So I just think any striker that goes there is going to have trouble. So as far as players gelling are concerned, I know Pochettino's he's been crying about, I've got all these injuries, boo hoo, you've just spent £1 billion. But he has got a bit of a point, because there are some decent players that are on the injury table. So I think as soon as he, in another 2 or 3 months, once he's got a good chunk of those players back, I reckon that they're doing okay defensively. But there are better defenders that can come in to that side. And the same thing, like with the other areas where there's injuries, once they all come back and he's got a full team at his disposal, then I reckon he will play the players that he wants to play, as opposed to having to play the players that are available to him. Because, don't forget, there's a lot of players that have actually just gone in the last month that he could have been picking from. So, I do sympathise with the fact that he has lost a few players, but as soon as they come back, I reckon they'll come good. But unfortunately, that'll be when all their easy games have finished.
Yeah, that's true. James?
Well, Jackson can't hit a barn door with a banjo, can he? Let's be honest.
They got Broha coming back apparently.
Well, I was just about to say that, but it'll be interesting to see when Broha. He's only just come back from injury, hasn't he? So he's been out a long time. But it'll be interesting to see if he starts getting minutes, because Jackson's not doing it, is he? They need to get that witch doctor back to the ground that obviously has put a hoodoo on Chelsea strikers, or just jet the checkbook out again like they normally do. Give him a 10-year contract.
Yeah, standard in it now. They use 10 and 8-year contracts. We'll sort of financial fair play out. Just spread it over longer.
Do you think you'd try Sterling through the middle or not? They did try it at times, didn't they? But
no, it don't work.
No,
I don't agree with that.
He's
not
5
really
foot
anyone
nothing,
else.
isn't he?
Yeah.
You can't. When was the last time you saw a 5 foot nothing number 9? It just doesn't work.
It's not just that. I mean, like you got like some of the
Mario.
world's greatest. Like so, Salah playing through the middle. It don't quite work, does it?
Yeah.
Because he's talented. He can finish. He can do everything. He's a very, very talented player, but that position just doesn't suit. It's same with Sterling. He's not a number 9. He's not through the middle.
Same with that guy that sat behind Scott or stood behind Scott.
Yeah, it's true.
In off the left.
Wide left. He's got to be.
Oh, he did do all right up top as well. Not bad.
To be fair, I wouldn't mind a Thierry Henry anywhere, to be fair. But, yeah, again, favourite position, wide left. Got to play there. Right, another Nathan Wisby question. I'm here for this one. I'm not having a piss. Madison, a hold or a bin? I've got Madison in my team. The next 2 weeks, he's got singles, if I remember rightly. I know he had a single this week and I held on to him. That's only because it was Sheffield United. Sheffield United at home. So I thought that's an absolute winner. I'll take that over 2 fixtures. Got me a few points, but for me, Madison will be coming out of the team this week. He'll only have a single, whereas a lot of teams have doubles. And then I'd have to just try and play the cup roulette and hope the player plays in the cup. But he's a bin for me this week. And I don't like saying that because he's scoring so well. But I think he's on my bin list. What do you reckon, Andy?
Well, with Madison, he's had 5 games. He scored 7 points, 7 points, 15 points, 2 points, and 15 points. And when you look at the amount of points that he's got in bonus points out of all those points, it's 30 points in bonus points, which means he's picking up a shitload of bonus points every game. He's averaging over 10 points per game. So if I don't have him in my side. If I did have him in my side, I'd be in 2 minds to actually keep him. Because the player that you replace him with might not score with 2 games the rate that he's scoring on average or over 1 game.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think that you're right there, because the other player that you bring in might not even play the second game.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely, 2 minds about that one.
And it's just the amount of points that he's picking up every game. It's crazy. He's the top scoring midfielder, isn't he? I think is it only Haaland that's ahead of him in the scoring charts. And there's Eze as well. He scored 31 points from either bonus points or from shots on targets or tackles or what have you. Massively outstripping most other players. So as long as you don't have too many of them in, you can have 1 or 2, I'd say, and have 9 European players, but just make sure that the 1 or 2 that aren't European players are players like Maddison or Eze. And there is a fair few actually this year.
Yeah, definitely. James?
Bin him.
Yeah.
Because he's got Liverpool. He's got Arsenal and Liverpool next.
Two proper clubs.
You can always bring him back in.
Two proper clubs, he says.
With the extra fixtures, I think you've got to gamble on those double game weeks. I would get rid of him if I had him. Yeah, with those fixtures as well.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah. I'm in agreement. Arsenal next. He's not gonna be doing. He's been running the show against these last teams, but against Arsenal and Liverpool, he's not going to be doing it, is he? Like he's just bullied Sheffield United. He's just bullied Burnley, Fulham, Bournemouth, and then a crisis Man United. So
no, what's happening here, don't we?
Yeah,
Madison brace against Arsenal. We know it, don't we?
He's bullying these minnows.
One of my best mates is an Arsenal fan, and he come round here earlier, rather my little lad put his Tottenham strip on. My sister bought him he wanted a Harry Kane strip, so he got a Spurs kit. So anytime that my mate comes round, my little lad goes and puts his Spurs kit. Anyway,
yeah, I'd just bring him back. I'd get him out for these two, and then by all means bring him back for Luton. I'm sure he'll have a great game against Luton.
I can't wait to hear this back. They are, Nathan. Right.
He's a Spurs fan as well, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
James, you've been on. Do I ask you a question, mate?
No, that question was from Plevna. If I think you talk about Man United.
All right, yeah.
So Plevna said, James, your thoughts on Man United assets, team, manager, club? They look in turmoil on and off the pitch. If things don't pick up on the pitch, Ten Hag will be gone before the next international break. I think he just wants me to slag Man United off, and I'm quite happy to do that. To be honest with you,
get it off your chest.
Rubbish at the moment. They're not gelling at all. They don't look decent defensively. Attacking wise, they've had issues. They've got the new striker that's come in. He's got his first goal at Old Trafford, which means Rashford gets to stay on the left, which is good for Man United, I think, because he's rubbish.
Got disallowed. Got disallowed, didn't it?
Sorry?
Yeah, he got ruled out, that goal.
Yeah, they ruled it out.
So, yeah, I mean, it stems from the top, doesn't it? Those owners have totally shafted that club. And until the Glazers go, I don't see them hitting the heights that they had in the 90s. It's top down, isn't it? Those Glazers have got to go. That's my take anyway.
I'm a disagreement. I think they're using this Glazers shite as an excuse every time. We watched United absolutely crumble, didn't we? And they turned into a right ball of shite, and they were doing nothing. They were crap. But then last season, you seen when Ten Hag come in, they were pretty dire for the first few months that he was there. But he ended up building this. He got rid of Ronaldo, and all of a sudden he started building a decent side. And United were playing some really good stuff. They were back to not to the best. I'm not saying anywhere near the best, but they got the fans back on side. Every player that were playing for them were given everything, and they had a really good end to the season. Do you know? I expected United to be doing so much better this season than what they are. And it's easy just to say, "Well, that's the owners." They spent that much money. They spent that much, whether that's their money or not. I don't care. They spent that much on transfer fees that whoever these people are that are making decisions on which players to bring in, right? That's where the trouble is. And
Not the last game, the one before. They finished the game with Maguire and Johnny Evans.
I mean, that's shocking. I know it's laughable, though, isn't it? But they spent all this money on players like they spent 100 million on Anthony, or 90 million, whatever you want to call it, 90 million on Anthony, however much on Maguire, Fred.
What about Mason Mount? I mean,
Martial, Mason Mount can't even get a game because he's injured. Just how much money do you want whoever it is at the top of this club to throw at the club, and then you just carry on blaming them? No, there's something functionally wrong that you can't seem to get this identity back. You're missing the likes of Ferguson. It's the management team underneath. It's this the whole ethos of the club, and they're missing so much more than just change owners, do whatever, get the Saudis in, get the Qataris in, get whoever in. Don't matter who you get in. The people that are in the club or whoever's running that club, it's been run wrong.
We've got in the chat, we've got Maguire's mum in the chat, and she said, "James, can you leave Maguire alone?"
Sorry. I do think the stick he's getting on Maguire is totally over the top. I don't understand why he didn't go to West Ham.
Yeah, and that's where his problem lies.
Great there. He would be the main man. He'd be great there. United fans are just even their own fans are booing him. I mean, it can't be good for him. He's fourth choice centre back. He should. I don't get it. Just leave. Go to West Ham.
Towards the end of last season, there was a feel-good factor about United. United fans will admit it. Forget about the Glazers and all that shit. There were a feel-good factor about United. They thought Ten Hag's got this under control. They're playing better football. They've got a bit of an identity about them again. They've started the season awfully. And all of a sudden, it's the Glazers' fault again. It's just every time something goes wrong, it's the Glazers' fault. No. They're just... Something's wrong elsewhere. Get rid of the owners, and that might help. And they might start... I employ different people, but they need... if they're going to get rid of the owners, they need a refresh, top to bottom. But last season, like I said, it don't go from just being positive. How positive was it at United? They had title challenges this year. Ten Hag's got them playing some really good football, and he seems to have dealt with it. But
I think they'll be all right. I know it's football now, isn't it? For everything, you're either the best or you're the worst.
Yeah.
In however many games, but they've just lost to Brighton, who can beat anyone.
Yeah,
really, they can beat anyone in the league at the moment.
Very good side. Very good side.
They lost 3-1 to us, but quite honestly, that Garnacho offside was like a centimetre, and if they score that goal, their title contender.
It's a very good shout, Scott. That
Arsenal are now rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. And Arteta out.
Yeah,
and get rid of Kroenke and all them.
Yeah, I predict that we're gonna have more turmoil against Bayern. Bayern are going to put 4 past them. We're going to carry on talking like this for another week, and then they're going to beat Burnley, beat Palace, win in the Carabao Cup, beat Galatasaray, and then all of a sudden they're back in the game. I think they'll be fine, to be honest. I think it's just the world we live in now, isn't it? It's all extreme everything.
It is.
I reckon they'll be all right.
As long as they stay away from Yondell Thomason, I'm happy. Right. Anthony Stringer, Kaminsky in next week. Double game at game week 7 at 1.1 mil. Scott, this one for you, isn't it, Kaminsky?
Yeah, the way I looked at it is just, well, for me, it's getting Visser out sort of in place of him. He's probably going to get 2 points. And if you do just fluke a clean sheet, you'd have to be buzzing with that. But I think the reason people are talking a little bit about him is because they've got that double game week in game week 7, which isn't a given. It's Everton away and then Burnley at home, which when no other team's got a double at that point. So that does look okay. If you can get 1 clean sheet, you're laughing really. But I don't think it's a great move. It's just what you can do with that money elsewhere, I think. I don't expect much from him. And even that game week 6, they've got Wolves and Exeter. I had a look. They didn't play Kaminsky in the last Carabao Cup game. So you're not going to get back-to-back doubles, I don't think. But yeah, if it enables other stuff, then yeah, maybe. Like I said, I'm probably going to do it, but I'm not going to go out there and recommend other people do it.
James?
No. Can't do it. But you're booking in another transfer for a start. So you don't want to be changing your goalkeeper, really, unless you have to. I've got Johnson. If he loses his place to Henderson, I'll make a transfer.
To Henderson.
The trouble is, if you then use the money you've saved by bringing in Kaminsky. I mean, I get Scott's reasons for doing it. I can understand that. But if you use the money that you've gained, you're booking in that transfer. You're going to have to do it a couple of times, aren't you?
Yeah, you'll have to do another 2, really, won't you?
Another 2 transfers again to sort it out. So I generally wouldn't make that kind of move myself.
Andy?
What hat's that you've just put on?
Nottingham Forest, is it?
Oh, Nottingham Forest, that.
But where can you get one of them? Where can you get them from?
Footyfits.co.uk.
Hey. Well, it kind of makes sense, bringing the player in because Luton have got double game week, obviously with the Carabao Cup, and is it Exeter that they're playing?
Yep.
And then they've got Wolves, Exeter, Everton, and Burnley is a double game week in game week 7. So they've got 2 double game weeks on the spin. Then they've got Tottenham and Forest and Villa. So the fixtures, they're going to have to get a clean sheet at some point this season. You'd expect them to get it.
I don't know, man.
Might need 2 keepers.
But as James has said, you use that money somewhere else, and then when those fixtures come up against Liverpool and Manchester United, they might be getting a cane. You want to take him out. Well, you're going to have to downgrade somebody that you might hold valuable in your side because you're not going to get another keeper the same price unless a clean sheet rockets him. Say if he gets a couple of good games, his value might go up by 0.3 each time. But like I say, it's a risk. The risk isn't now. The risk is when you want to take him out. Because you're then taking a risk with another of your players that you're going to have to downgrade. And by that time, in another 3-4 game weeks, are the players that are available to you to downgrade a player going to be worth more money as well?
Yeah.
It's true, man. It's true.
Captain him, Anthony. Captain him.
Yeah, I won't be touching him. Do you know what? I actually think my missus has got him in there. So he's ex-Rovers keeper, actually. No, I'll have him then. I'm sure she got Kaminsky in there.
How much did he start off at? Was it 1 million or was it 1.5?
$1 million.
$1 million. All right,
Yeah.
So he's actually gone up in value.
He's gone up by a point.
So he'll probably still keep going up in value because they can't let many more goals in, can they? So if things get better, he'll be worth about 4 million in week 10.
One for you here, Andy. Ben C. Question for Andy. What size gloves do your godmanly hands acquire?
These things. You know what? The reason why people always say that I've got really big hands is because of a photograph. I were in Crete about a month ago, and I sent a photograph, but there was a photograph that my son took of me on another phone, but the phone was really small as well, so it, made my hands look really big. I do have problems. It's not just with my hands; it's also with my feet. Also with like.
Andy, hold on. It's a family
I'm
show.
half Scottish, so that area's been taken care of. A couple of walnuts and a chip of no, I have a problem with my head, my hands, and my feet, and I'm just one size bigger than the maximum size. So when I go to the shop, they only have up to size 11 shoes. If I want a hat, like I'm just that little bit too big, so I have to order stuff like off online, from America or whatever.
Tony, you'll have to get a custom one made.
I'll sort you out, mate. Look at these. Look at this rovers that. Come on.
Hey. Blackburn Rovers. Footyfix.com, is it?
.co.uk.
.co.uk. So, yeah, the size of my gloves, I don't know. I always get the largest that's available, and they always still feel too tight. Now, if they did, if they went up that one more size, then the size that would fit me would probably be a blind cobbler's variety. So yes, I'm basically the biggest size of glove that they have. I hope that answers your question.
The largest of largest.
There you go, Ben.
Right, DT Phillip. I think James put this in just to test my eyesight.
Don't come to me on this one. It's too complicated. It's too late. I'm too tired.
I took Fernandez out to allow me to bring in Salah and Watkins. Right, the plan was to bring him back in for game week 6 and downgrade Bowen. Don't forget about Fernandez and take out Sterling and Johnston. I have 0.9 million in the bank, so we'll have 6.4 million to spend in total. So thinking I might go Areola or Martinez in goal, which will leave me either 4.1 or 3.1 to spend on a midfielder. Which midfielder would you target if you wasn't to bring Fernandez back in? Right, there you go. Did you hear that, Scott?
Yep. Yeah. Right. So
nail it, mate. Nail it.
Yeah, I'd sort out Sterling and Johnston first. Out of the two, I think I'd go for Martinez. I think they're going to play him in goal for these European games. It's a bit of a talisman, isn't he?
Yeah.
He kicks off as well. He kicks off when he's not playing, so I think he's going to be playing both. I think their backup is Olsen, but I think Martinez, Ballon d'Or nominee as well. I think he's going to get that European fixture. So I'd stick him in goal. And then how much did it give you for the midfielder if you went Martinez?
Only 3.1.
So fresh off the press today, Martinelli got injured in that game, didn't he, today for Arsenal? I don't know how serious it is, but Trossard's back in the picture, 2.8 million bargain. If Martinelli is out, I think Trossard might end up playing 2 games on the left. He scored.
You're over budget there, Scott.
2.8.
3.1.
He's 2.8, Trossard.
Oh, is he?
2.8.
Okay. Apologies.
Yeah, I think go that. Obviously, you want to wait and see what they say about Martinelli, how bad it was. He was holding his hamstring, but yeah, if he ends up being injured, I think that could be a shout.
Definitely scored a nice goal as well.
Great goal.
What do you reckon about Anthony Gordon? 2.8 European fixtures. Obviously, they've not got the nice stuff European fixtures, but coming up, they've got a nice run, Newcastle.
I was worried about him and Barnes sharing minutes, but then they both played, didn't they?
Yes, and this is what I said to Ben. Where's Ben? Get him back on the pod. And we were saying about will one of them sneak Almiron's place? And I, to be fair, I didn't see the Newcastle game, so I don't know who played right or left.
I think it would have been Gordon on the right. Yeah, it was Gordon on the right.
Did he move Gordon onto the right?
Yeah, Barnes. Fine. I think Barnes can only play on the left, can't he? Really?
Right.
But I think Gordon can play both.
And I thought, is he gonna with Almiron? He's not in the greatest goal scoring forward, are we going to start to see Gordon and Barnes playing that front three? And obviously, then last game we've seen it, they didn't do very well going forward, obviously, but somewhat to look at going forward that actually Barnes and Gordon can play on the same side. Or was the resting? Where was Isaac?
Don't think he came on. He was on the bench but didn't come on. So maybe they're saving him.
He must have been injured.
Maybe they're saving him for Champions League. Maybe. I don't know what he did in the international break or anything like that. But yeah,
if he's not come on, and they were struggling for a goal till end, weren't they? Newcastle did score late on.
Yeah, they got. I think it was. I think Gordon won the penalty.
Yeah, if Isaac's not come on, surely he's going to be struggling with something. You think they'd throw him on at some point to try and win the game? I don't know. But yeah, it's the first time we've seen Gordon and Barnes playing the same team, so we know he's willing to do that, which is good. But Anthony Gordon at 2.8 million, I think it's a nice shout. Nice shout. We reckon, Andy?
Those are all European players, which is, it's a decent call. I'll stick another European player in the mix. Lewis for Villa. Douglas Lewis, is he called? He comes within budget.
Get Nathan Wisby on here. He messaged me. He put Douglas Lewis in this week. Right. He scored a penalty, didn't he?
Yeah. He seems to be scoring decently as well this season, and he's getting bonus points as well. Apart from that, obviously that was a really good shout, that, Scott. I didn't think about Trossard, but
cracking shout.
Play twice a week, and the same thing with who's the other one again? Sorry,
Gordon.
Anthony Gordon. Yeah, that's correct. He might not play 2 times a week. If that's the case, and anybody that you'd be putting in would be, at risk of not playing twice a week, you've got these rude boys here. You've got Kulusevski, Gallagher, Bissouma, and Jensen for Brentford. They all seem to be scoring very well and scoring very well on the bonus matrix.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's much of a problem if you only have like one non-European player in your squad, as long as they're scoring regularly. And those 4 that are non-European, Bissouma, Gallagher, Kulusevski, and Jensen, they're, for the first 5 game weeks, they're up with the rest, really.
You'd like to think of these players that aren't playing the European games, surely could put in the cup games.
Yeah.
Like if you're someone like Pochettino, you're going to play your bigger players in these cup games, or not? Not Chelsea are out. Spurs are out, aren't they?
Yeah.
So obviously Madison don't. You've got to put your full side out.
Yeah, I don't get it with Spurs. Like Spurs going out of the EFL Cup, and
absolutely fuming.
If you was a new manager, if you were Pochettino or
I'd have played my full 11.
What's the best way to get solidify
yourself? On side,
yeah.
Your board on side. You play your best 11, go out and win the game, get to at least the semi-finals, and then see what's happening.
Bizarre. Strange.
They've only got the League Cup as a distraction to the league. That's until January, so why don't they play the best side?
It's mad, isn't it?
It's not even like they're going to have to play 2 weeks later, if they get through.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. More than possible playing your best side every single game.
I think teams have just got so used to just going, I'll just rest 5 or 6 players and we'll get through. It's shocking, really. Shocking.
It's probably because they're having to play these extra 15 minutes after every match. Wasted time. It's wiping the players out.
I mean, to be fair, West Ham put the best side out against us, and we wiped 4 with them, and Leicester did the same, and we wiped 4 with them. And sometimes it can be painful, can't it?
It can.
Anyway, Ben's not here to hear that. Right. I think that's us done. The premium member giveaway obviously will roll over because, but not, it won't roll over, sorry. It's not finished yet. So, game week 5, the highest point scorer is still to be decided. So we'll get back in touch with you all about that. That'll be announced next week. The mini league top 10. This is the Dream Team Tonic Cash League. James, have a read of that, mate.
Okay. In 10th, we've got Mark McKee. 9th, Alan. Oh God, I can't. Mr. Tatler. In 8th, we've got Payne. In 7th, we've got Anthony Sutcliffe.
Hey!
6th, Mike Warlow. 5th, D. Slater. 4th, B. McLaren. 3rd, L. Greaves. 2nd, Andrew McGill. And at the top, Connor Tobin.
Kinder un bueno.
Flying up there.
Yep. Great start. Happy days. Right. The Dream Team Tonic Patreon only league. Patreon only cash league. I'll have a quick read of this. In 10th, D. Williams. 9th, W.
Wayne
Christmas.
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 Wayne.
Is that a wind up?
No.
W. Christmas. 8th, Mike McKee. 7th, G. Paul. 6th, Andy Barnett.
Whee.
5th,
Hey.
me.
Hey.
Yes,
Sutcliffe. 4th, M. Tavares. 3rd, Ryan Driver. 2nd, Connor Tobin. At top of the shop, the gambler, Mr. Punt, Nathan Wisby.
Well
Why
done.
did he join the Crash League? He would have been top.
He would have been. Yeah, he's doing well.
We'll get our
Really,
questions
really.
in. We'll get our questions into him, shall we?
Yeah, we'll start sending in
Yeah.
questions to Nathan. In fact, we'll get him on pod. Nathan, you have to come on the pod, mate. So we'll sort that out in the next few weeks. Andy,
Yes,
can you see the Tonic Tag Team League there?
I can indeed.
Can you, mate? Give that a read. This is the league that we're going to win, mate.
Right. Okay. So in 10th place, we've got Simon Davis and Stephen Williams. In 9th place, we've got Matt Woolcock and Andrew Haynes. In 8th place, James Fricker and Ryan Driver. In 7th place, we've got Mark McKee and Patrick Bryson. In 6th place, we've got Andy Moores and Mike Warlow. In 5th place, we've got Jake Sylvester and Sam Taylor. In 4th place, my good mate, Mr. Sutcliffe.
Come
And
on.
myself. In 3rd place, we've got Luke High and Charlie Luciano. In 2nd place, Lewis Wright and Matthew Kent. And in 1st place, it's the Wales, Paul Brindley and Aman Tatler. They're actually doing quite well. They're steaming ahead. All thanks to Flowerpot Man. He's really doing well, isn't he, this year? So, yeah, well done, Tom.
Well done, lads.
Yeah, well done. Really well played, Brindley and Tatler. And that's all for this evening, chaps. It's a 1 hour 40 special. It's been an absolute pleasure. Anything else to add before we go?
Just if you've enjoyed it, there's a few people watching this evening. Just make sure before you shut down, just click that like button And for anybody watching afterwards, just make sure you subscribe.
Is that way?
Legend.
Andy's doing my job for me. Brilliant.
Thank you very much for having me on, fellas. I've really enjoyed it, by the way.
No,
Cheers,
we
mate.
love having Andy. I'd have you on every week, mate.
Well, I wouldn't be able to commit because my job, my days off change every week. I'm just lucky to obviously be off today. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to commit to it fully because, I don't have every Sunday off. I have a Sunday every 3 weeks off.
Yeah, excuses. Anyway.
He'll come on when he's doing well, like this week.
Yeah, I've had a good week. I'm on. Right, yeah, no, nice one, chaps. Cheers, Scott. Cheers,
See you
James.
later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
There's
Thank
less power cuts, James.
Yeah.
I haven't had one today, but the last week has been horrific.
Yeah.
Shocking. Honestly, I've been sat here in the dark with candles. It's no fun at all, like I tell you.
Why? What candles?
Sorry? So I've got I'm getting 5-hour power cuts at a time. I've run out of water. I've got one shower left. I'm hoping street water comes tomorrow.
Sign up to the Patreon. Help us get James back. We'll bring him home.
Sign up to the super tier.